10 seconds.
Hello, Godfrey's Fruit Farm.
5, 4, 3, 2.
We're back, folks. Freedom Forum dose on this, the 10th day of the 9th month, year of our Lord Jesus the Christ, 2014. We've already had several monster solar flares this year. Our caller called back. It was on Fox. There's nothing so far on Fox website on this one. There's bunches that they're listing several from previously this year and last year. There were a bunch of them this year.
Google it.
But nothing on this one yet.
Can you Google it?
No, he said it was on Fox. It was where he saw it. He saw the crawler again, and they're saying big time. This is a big time hit. So we'll
Too bad if it hit Putin.
we'll see if we can find it another way.
What about the White House?
Well, he's talking tonight. You know, he started at the same time we got started. We were conflicting with him. I'm surprised they didn't black us out. Wait, let me see here. See if we can get this solar flare. One good thing about the internet, if it works. Let's see. 4 hours ago, major solar flare launched at the Earth. Now the article's 4 hours ago. That's not when the flare. What's today? Today's the 10th.
Tomorrow's the 11th.
This is true. I forgot about that. See, I didn't take enough Gecko Balboa today. I took one, but obviously didn't take enough. Come on, dadgum
I
this
forgot
thing.
to take my vitamin B before I came.
X-class, the most powerful type, 145. Oh, come on, dadgum this thing.
Talk about the meetings while we're not adjourned. I'll wait.
Yeah, go ahead and give them the information on the meeting,
On
and
the
I'll
meeting?
open
Wait,
with the prayer in a
you
minute.
caught me off guard.
Yeah, good idea while I'm doing this.
Hold it to me right.
What?
Oh, nothing. Tomorrow night, September 11th, 2014, Robichaux Recreation Center, 6 to 8:30 p.m. The Acadiana Patriots are putting on their meeting. They'll be honoring the 9/11 victims and praying for their families. We're going to have the beginning. We're going to have a video on the Star Spangled Banner, which is pretty awesome. Uh-oh, we got a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, if you hang on 1 second, I thought it was going to come across on the crawl there on the EMP. But,
I found the Space Weather Prediction Center here.
what is it? Does it have anything or not?
Yeah, it's got it.
Okay, good. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye.
Go ahead with that, and then I'll get into this.
Go ahead with this now.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay.
Finish that up.
Then we're having I got a 9/11 video, and we're gonna give a little speech, honoring them. Then Mr. Hartwell over here is gonna give a speech. He told me it's 20 minutes, got it completely memorized, and not 1 minute left.
Not yet, but tomorrow.
What do you mean, not yet? It's getting pretty close, don't you think? And then, after Mr. Hartwell, a little discussion, I'm sure, we're gonna have a Benghazi video, a short video on Benghazi, and a speech, and talk about some things that I discovered in a book that's coming out that's pretty revealing. And then State Senator Elbert Guillory is going to give a little talk. Graham Baduzzi is going to talk on ULL conservatives. That ought to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to do our version of a candlelight vigil to honor the September 11th victims and families. And if we stay on schedule, we should have about a half an hour for an open discussion on whatever, and then close it out and commemorate the day. And
Just look.
didn't fall.
Go ahead.
This is, look for this sign tomorrow on Eras Landy Road.
Robichaux Center across from Cox Communications Building. Okay, let me get on this and then we'll get back to what's going on next week again, because this is, all right. An R3 solar flare. Impacts to high frequency radio communications, the daylight side. This was an old one. This was one that,
It's not the most recent.
yeah, but this is from today, 2318 UTC. What they're saying here, initial information suggests that coronal mass ejection is likely associated with this event. So that hadn't hit yet. However, further analysis is underway at this time. Stand by for more details. Okay, there ain't a lot of details yet. They're still studying it. And it's due to hit, it doesn't say here, but that the caller reported that it's supposed to hit tomorrow morning, which makes sense because when the sun comes up, that's going to be the direction from whence this thing came. So as the sun bathes the earth, it'll also get bathed with the coronal mass ejection.
Maybe it'll be cloudy.
Well, no, that won't stop it. Nope. Sorry about that. But we just have to, there's one on the way. Part of it has already hit. The first wave impacted high frequency radio, but that lasted a little more than an hour today already.
Where?
But the CME, it doesn't say, it was as daylight side of the earth. So it may have been us.
Maybe it'll just be the East
Let's
Coast.
see what the time. What time is 21:50? Oh, here it is. 1:45 Eastern Daylight Time, PM, is when it looks like it. That's when it hit here. I didn't have a radio on, so I didn't notice anything. But that would be an HF radio anyway. Okay. We'll have to watch this and see. Tonight when I get home, I'm going to check it again.
Yep.
But see, they're saying stand by for more details.
Standing by.
Standing by. Okay.
You're sitting.
All right.
It's run by the government. It could be a.
Well, again, let me see if I can get back to where we were. Blink. Get rid of that.
Ustream.
Go there. Look.
Ustream.
No, Ustream should be on there. We don't want to do that. We might get feedback if we went on to Ustream right now and started watching ourselves. There's no telling what could happen. We might have a CME here. There's no telling with this stuff. We might create a black hole and get sucked up into the year 2222
Never know what
or
happens.
something. Anyway, okay. What you got? Remember, next week for the show, we're going to have Renee Powers from California come in and talk about the border situation and her adventures on the border and at the Bundy Ranch. She was at the standoff part of the time during the Bundy Ranch standoff in Nevada. Jeez, Obama looks terrible in this picture. Well, he's gone now.
He didn't have golf clubs.
Man, he looked terrible. He had a bad look on his face. Okay. And then I'm going to let Jim proceed with some
I
stuff he wanted to
just
mention.
want to read a controversial thing out of the Constitution here.
Tell him where it is.
It's on
It's Article 2.
Article 2,
Section 1.
Section 1.
You'd have to count the paragraphs to give them exactly.
well.
That's okay.
Anyways, it says, no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to the office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. Just thought I'd put that out there. I don't want to start any conspiracy crap.
Well,
Here's, you know, and the reason I read this is I have a thing here. Greta Van Susteren, White House pressured Fox News to back down on Benghazi.
I've heard that.
A lot of you probably caught Fox News special this weekend, 13 hours at Benghazi. Very good report. As you might imagine, the White House is none too pleased with the special. Between it and the House Benghazi Committee's upcoming first public hearing on September 14th, the Obama administration is clearly feeling the heat on the issue. On Friday, Greta Van Susteren spoke on her show about how the White House tried to pressure her to get her colleague Jennifer Griffin to back down on Benghazi. Breitbart TV has the video of that particular, which is strangely not embeddable for some reason. And I can tell you. Go ahead, caller.
As opposed to those solar flares, the one in 2012 missed the Earth by less than 1,000 miles. It would have scorched most of the electronics. The one that happened within the last 2 months, it would have been in October. So when you mentioned earlier that it was just a few days either way, not true. A solar flare travels at approximately 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
No, man, within a few days of our orbit at the
Okay.
time, not a few days from now, but that's okay.
Anyways, Van Susteren did not stop there, though. Yesterday, she went on Hannity to elaborate on what happened. The way the White House has treated Fox News over its coverage of Benghazi hints that there is something the administration is hiding from the public. Really?
Really?
What would they have to hide?
What the heck would they hide? I mean, they've been honest all the way along.
Yeah, they've been very transparent, the most transparent administration in history.
As the next statement says, as with the IRS scandal, there are too many coincidences and mistakes. Coincidence? Mistakes? Piling up for any one of them to be fluke oversights. There's that word again. That's the big word in Washington. Oversight.
I mean, like the coincidence of Joan Rivers dying
Yeah.
2 weeks after she
Oh, don't start
outed
that. Don't.
what's his face and what's her
Yeah, I
face.
mean, it was cut off the air towards, I read the thing today. The surgery that they did she did not authorize. Think about that. She didn't authorize the surgery that they did, and that's what killed her. And she called, what did she call Obama's wife?
Transvestite.
Transvestite.
Yeah. A transy. In fact,
Transgender, yeah.
she was uninvited to the funeral.
Yes, so one of three. Anyways, as with the IRS scandal, there are too many coincidences and mistakes piling up for any one of them to be fluke. As Van Susteren correctly notes, there is something dirty going on here. The White House wouldn't have tried to interfere in such a way with FNC's reporting otherwise. One can only hope that Trey Gowdy and the House Benghazi Committee will get to the bottom of this over the course of its investigation. I'm going to tell you what, people know, and people ask me all the time, well, Jim, why isn't Congress doing anything? I actually got an email from one of my friends today. Jim, tell me, why isn't Congress doing anything? You know what I tell them? Call them. I don't have the answer. I don't know why they don't do that. Well, we do know why, but... And then here is what happened on the ground, and this is part of that 13 hours. And, I mean, one of the questions Bear asked, if I gave you that 30 minutes back, would Ambassador Stevens and Sean Smith be alive today? Chris Ferranto, CIA contractor, yes, they would still be alive. You in on that? And he's talking to the other guy, John Teagan, the CIA. I strongly believe if we would have left immediately, they would still be alive today. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna cover a little more of this tomorrow night, but the other one is, I like the title on this one, just some odds and ends stuff here, but Darrell Issa, he's a good guy. Bombshell. House Republicans prove Democrats working with IRS to cover up corruption. Let's
Yeah,
see.
this was funny. This was actually funny, pathetic.
Yeah,
These people are either grossly incompetent or this is all intentional.
The guy called ICE's office.
Yeah, yeah. Idiot calls the opposition's office and wants to know if he wants to send this over. Who you talking to? This is bizarre.
It said apparently last Friday, an aide to the Attorney General, Eric Holder, placed a call to Congressman Issa believing he was actually contacting ICE's Democrat counterpart, Elijah Cummings, real nice.
They don't even look alike.
There's a little difference, ethnic backgrounds. The mistake was not immediately apparent to either side of the phone call until the aide, one Brian Fallon, made a request to leak some documents related to the IRS investigation to the media before the majority of House Republicans could share the documents. I mean, and it's not funny, but it is funny.
Yeah, it's funny, pathetic. It's you know the old saying, the inmates are running the asylum?
Yeah.
Well, I think we've proven that.
It's,
Now I'm going to give you some breaking news here.
what's that?
I hadn't been able to pull this up until just now, the pictures. I had the story and had put it here to try and get, because I had independent confirmation of something rather strange happening. My contact, who has contacts within the military and other places, got a call from a friend of his on the ground near Lubbock, Texas, today. The friend heard last night, late in the night, a whole bunch of helicopters flying over his house, and there was enough light that he could identify lots of Blackhawks and lots of Apaches. He knew what he was looking at. Well, he took video, which he has sent to my friend, who has confirmed that, yeah, the video is full of Blackhawks and Apaches. It was the last batch to fly over after dawn today. Fly over his house. He said it looks like a flock of blackbirds, there's so many of them.
Wow.
Well, he ran it down that they came out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, which is where most of the helicopters are stationed in the Army these days. He said he'd never seen so many helicopters in one place. And they landed in Lubbock for refueling and then went further southwest. Okay?
We know where they're going.
Well, wait. Now, here's an independent article dated today at 10:46 a.m. on the Blaze website, and it's got pictures of a helicopter which they call resembles a Black Hawk or an Apache. Whoever wrote this thing did not know his helicopters. It's obvious what it is. It's an Apache. It's an Apache with at least fuel tanks under wing load, but it looks like the wings are fully loaded with ordnance. Landing on a heliport atop a parking garage. Where? Dallas, Texas. Stayed there 3 to 5 minutes before taking off again. Okay? Middle of Dallas, Texas, on top of a parking garage, an Apache lands. An Apache with heavy underwing load. I can see this from the pictures they got here. It's a half a mile from Dallas Police Department headquarters. Okay?
You pick up somebody?
No. I suspect they were dropping off some records or some information to Dallas PD.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what has happened. I got it confirmed last night, late, and then again this morning, that Houston PD picked up a bunch of ISIS people yesterday. And it's supposed to be several. We don't know how many, we don't know what they charged them with, but they were arrested in Houston yesterday.
I heard 10.
So, is this connected to this? Well, it's awfully suspicious. Now,
I actually, Saturday morning, talked to a couple from Houston who told me it's terrible in Houston with the illegal immigration. They used a number they think there's 10 million of them there, which is probably somewhat
Well,
exaggerated.
Houston, Houston is the most strategic city in the country now. More so than New York, more so than LA, New Orleans, et cetera. Why? It's the third largest city population-wise in size. And they have, with the ship channel, all of the oil field related stuff there, they have one of the most strategic, well, the most strategically important single cities. New Orleans is important all the way up the Mississippi River past Baton Rouge. But that's not one city, that's not a single location. However, with Houston spread out as much as it is, it may cover more area than that area does up the Mississippi River.
Well, if you think about what's coming across the border and how they get north, I saw a map that showed the trail, and the biggest highway to take them from the border south is Highway 35, which runs up through Oklahoma City, up into Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Minnesota got any problems.
Well, Minnesota's got a certain rather large percentage of Mohammedans.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the Muslim state of Michigan.
Yeah, Minnesota is where the two guys that were killed so far that we know of, that they know of, that they're
Came
telling
from.
us, the Americans that were killed are U.S. citizens, let me rephrase that. U.S. citizens that were killed in,
What about the rest of
with
those
ISIS.
helicopters? Where did they go?
don't know. We had nothing, no information on where they wound up. It's just that they were Fort Campbell to Lubbock and then
Wow.
disappeared elsewhere.
Do we want to read this?
What's that?
In case you didn't know, you live in a country run by idiots.
There's a little Air Force Base.
Well, I think we've established that fact tonight just on the basis of what we've mentioned, but
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
They'll get a kick out of that.
This is an email that was sent to me, and it's titled, "In case you didn't know you live in a country run by idiots." Number one, if you can get arrested for hunting or fishing without a license, but not for being in the country illegally, you live in a country run by idiots. If you have to get your parents' permission to go on a field trip or take an aspirin in school, but not to get an abortion, you live in a country run by idiots. If you have to show identification to board an airplane, cash a check, buy liquor, or check out library books, but not to vote on who runs the government, you live in a country run by idiots. If the government wants to ban stable, law-abiding citizens from owning gun magazines with more than 10 rounds, but gives 20 F-16 fighter jets to the crazy leaders in Egypt, you live in a country run by idiots.
Mhm.
If, in
Let
the,
me add to that. Not only did they give Egypt F-16s, they gave them M1 Abrams tanks too.
oh yes, it was
Now
a,
this is after those clowns took over and during the Arab Spring. This was after the Muslim Brotherhood had taken over.
yeah. If in the largest city you can buy two 16-ounce sodas, but not a 24-ounce soda because 24 ounces of sugary drink might make you fat, you live in a country run by idiots. If an 80-year-old woman can be strip searched by the TSA, but a woman in a
Hijab.
hijab is only subject to having her neck and head searched, you live in a country run by idiots. If your government believes that the best way to eradicate trillions of dollars of debt is to spend trillions more, you live in a country run by idiots. If a 7-year-old can be thrown out of grade school for saying his teacher's cute, but hosting a sexual exploitation or diversity class in grade school is perfectly accessible, you live in a country run by idiots. If hard work and success are met with higher taxes and more government intrusion, while not working is rewarded with EBT cards, WIC cards, Medicaid, subsidized housing, and free cell phones, you live in a country run by idiots.
Oh, I'm gonna have to change my name. I got to get an accent too. I can't speak English so
Hey,
good.
Jose, how you do? If the government's plan for getting people back to work is to incentivize not working with 99 weeks of unemployment checks and no requirement to prove they applied but can't find work, you live in a country run by idiots. If being stripped of the ability to defend yourself makes you more safe according to the government, you live in a country run by idiots. I thought that was pretty.
And of course, that's only 11. We could go
That-
on and on
and
all night.
on. I mean, when you come down to it, that is really a scary thing that people accept that.
Well,
They said, I read a thing, in Chicago, there are no Republicans in office. In Illinois, there are no Republicans in office, all Democrats. And I read a little thing about that, and it said, so they can't blame the Republicans for anything that goes wrong in Illinois.
yeah, they can. Sure they can. They'll figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
Under their perverted Common Core logic, they'll
But
figure
but
out how to
saw-
blame the Republicans.
I saw them, I saw,
But the
what's that
Republicans
guy's
will do it
name? He's a liberal. And he said that all of this stuff happening today is not Obama's fault. This all started when Bush and Cheney lied to the country. They
Yeah.
still,
No, I saw one too a while back. I told you all about this idiot on one of these talk shows
Holmes,
said that all of this stuff was because no, it was another one. Combs is one of those apologists too, but this was a different one on one of the other networks that said that the reason that Obama hadn't been able to do much in his first term was because he had to clean up all of Bush's mess.
What?
Yeah. He had to take care of all of the things that Bush messed up.
Did we not just find out that the weapons of mass destruction, that we gave them 3 months to get rid of in Iraq, 4 months?
You mean Syria?
No, when we went to war with Iraq.
Oh, okay.
And
Back
did
that
we
far.
not find out that those WMDs were in Syria? And they're still saying that the guy lied, and
Well, he did, but that's another.
well, he did, but
about some of this.
and
a lot of
on
it.
one hand, on the other hand, but I mean,
Again, there's no difference between the two, but don't blame the guys that were in there before for your screw ups. Is what he's doing.
well, I always thought that you elect a new president and he's supposed to find a way to fix the problem.
Well, no, they've got to have problems so that they can continue to take our rights away from us.
Exactly.
So they can continue with their power grab.
And I don't think enough people realize that. In the state of Illinois, there are more people on welfare than work.
Let me read you something. Let me read you something here.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, there's more people on welfare than work. Which does that mean for the government subsidies that have to go to that state? Let me read something here. This is out of a publication I'm considering subscribing to. I probably won't, though, because it's strictly media commentary on events going on in the world, etc. But this is very telling here. This is from the editor-in-chief of this magazine called The Week. A democracy cannot function without good losers. Human beings are not naturally inclined to surrender power to our ideological and cultural adversaries. A society must train and educate its citizens, civilize them, if you will, to tolerate political defeat, seek compromise, and work patiently to regain power by winning the next election. This, Fareed Zakaria argues in the Washington Post, is the fundamental problem with transplanting democracy in the Middle East. There are precious few moderates, and they inevitably lose out to more ruthless extremists. It's not just the Iraqis, Syrians, Egyptians, or Palestinians who have a moderate problem. Now we get into the gist of this. I think he's accurate as far as, I didn't read Zakaria's article, but I want to read that to get a better appreciation for this notion. But now he launches into a tirade about the U.S., which I don't necessarily disagree with, just for different reasons. The U.S. now has a problem with moderation. A recent Pew Research survey found that Americans are deliberately sorting themselves into red and blue tribes. We seek to live, work, and socialize with people who share our worldviews and shun those who do not. 1 out of 4 Democrats and 1 out of 3 Republicans sees the other party as a threat to the nation's well-being. It is these people with the most vehement views who shape our politics. Why compromise with evil? As a result, Washington is dysfunctional and a Congress can no longer reach consensus, make decisions, or even agree how to pay to rebuild aging roads and bridges. In our ideological and cultural silos, meanwhile, our distrust of and contempt for the other tribes deepens. Ferguson, Missouri provides a particularly ugly reminder of our civic breakdown. When police in armored vehicles point military weapons at crowds of furious protesters, some throwing Molotov cocktails and tweeting, quote, "I am ready to die tonight," unquote, you have to wonder where we are headed. Well, I've talked about this before. Okay, this idea that the U.S. is becoming more polarized and more separate is not new. I've seen that myself, and of course the reason here, he hits the nail on the head in one regard, but of course you can tell from the tenor of this thing that the compromise has to come from our side. Those who believe in the Bible, those who believe that good is good and evil is evil, and there are definite lines of demarcation between good and evil, is no longer the case on the other side. The left wing, which this guy obviously comes from, because he's got to use what happened in Ferguson as an example, although it's not the most telling example of what he's talking about. Okay? He says, why compromise with evil? All right. It's the same thing I've told you about these elections. When you've got the lesser of two evils to vote for, it's still evil. All right? And that's what we're getting in the election process, is Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, and they're both evil dumb. Not just dumb, but evil also. It's just who's more eviler. In the case of the Democrats, usually it's them, although not all the time is the Democrat the most evil in the race. But those of us that have a set of moral principles that we go by. It used to be we could compromise. I didn't particularly like JFK, but I was young and dumb, and I listened to my elders. They didn't like JFK, so I didn't like JFK automatically. It turns out JFK today could not be elected to a Democratic post in this country. Could not be elected as a Democratic anything. He'd have to run as a Republican now to get elected. Okay, so that's how far this divide has happened. The left has moved further left, specifically the Democratic Party, although many in the Republican Party now used to be in the Democratic Party are not anymore because of the neo-connery that they're trying to pull on you folks. But the Republicans have moved to the evil side too. That's obvious when you get so many of them get wrapped up in these scandals. Well, the bottom line is those of us that have a moral standing, that have a moral outlook on life, that our morality comes from our Heavenly Father and only from Him. Okay? Now there are some people that are not necessarily Christians, don't necessarily believe in Jehovah at all, but they are still moral people. They still believe in the morality of man, the morality of treating your fellow man as you would treat yourself, or you have yourself treated. In other words, the golden rule. The problem with most of those kind of folks, though, is that they believe in a collective good. You and I are not good specifically. We are bad individually. But collectively is where we want to push our political agenda. And of course, what is collective? A collective political agenda is socialism, is the bottom line. Socialism, the manifestations of it as practiced by man via fascism and communism are evil. And the people that profess to be democratic, well, democracy is socialism. Understand that first of all. So this guy's not entirely in left field. He's got some moderation himself. He understands the problem. He just doesn't understand it from the right viewpoint. That it's the lack of moral standing, the lack of a moral fiber to our country any longer that has caused this split. And frankly, these people that are immoral, these people that don't want to adhere to any set of individual morality, regardless of what it is, hey, I don't want to have anything to do with them either. So, compromise with them, not when it affects my rights. And see, they want my rights taken away from me. They want to give us our rights that they can take away anytime they want to, a la the UN Charter, which says in their Declaration of Human Rights that the rights are given by government. The rights can then be taken by government. This
You
is
realize
the
what
divine right.
what they're voting on right now? To take away our right to speak out during an election.
Mm-hmm.
Within 90 days of an election,
Yeah.
they are tempering what you can say and when. And the reason I know about, a little more about this is one of the things when we were going through the IRS thing, until we got approved, is they wanted to put that in the 501c4 thing.
Right.
That you could not speak out against any candidate within 90 days of a major election.
Mm-hmm.
It's the campaign finance reform bill.
Yeah, and also one of the other things is they're trying to do, and I haven't read anything thoroughly on this, but they're also the campaign financing and what you can and can't do. And it all comes down to super PACs. Those things should be eliminated, totally. You know, they should be like the old days where the candidate had to raise their funds.
Yeah.
And believe me, this year, I learned about individuals and where their campaign funds come from and how it controls their thinking, more so than any time ever in what I've done. And the whole thing is, Harry Reid, there's 352 bills that are approved in the House with bipartisan approval, sitting to be taken to the Senate that Harry Reid refuses to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But the Republicans in the House aren't doing anything to help the country. And
Yeah, they're blaming.
this is all
Yeah.
ties into what you were just saying.
Sure.
The transformation of a tyranny. I mean,
And of course, it's mostly from the left, from the Democrats, because like you're just saying about all of the bills that the House has passed
and bipartisan.
by both parties, members of both parties voting for them. It wasn't unilateral or along party lines, most of them, but Harry Reid won't let them out. So what does that mean for him?
I don't understand how one person can have that much power.
But again, this is what the demon rats wanted. Okay? What will be interesting to see after the election, if the Republicans take the House, the Senate, if they change that, or if they leave the powers the same with Reid's successor. You know?
It's just like,
The problem with that situation is party politics.
Right.
Where you allow the two major parties, if you want to use that terminology, to control the rules.
yeah, exactly.
And of course, those rules are all based on party lines. And of course, and
money.
well, it's first, and the money comes later, because when they've got the power, it's like what they're doing with Landrieu.
Oh,
The people that are coming out supporting Landrieu are all people that have made money off of her,
yeah,
one way or the other.
like the guy that walks on the little boat or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, he's a big,
They
he got a
found out
big
he got,
time.
what, $30 million grant or something
Big
like
time,
that?
no, he got a big time Navy contract or Coast Guard contract to
Contract.
build boats.
Yeah.
Build boats for the government. And Landrieu was probably the prime reason he got the contract, because she sits on the committee, she's the chairman of the committee that handles that stuff in the Senate. So, come on, people, wake up. That's what we're here for, to wake you up.
It's
But
amazing.
again, we can teach them to find water.
Right.
We can lead them to the
To the
water.
water.
We can teach them to drink the water, but we can't make them drink the water
Exactly.
unless you use that old
But that,
technique of the two bricks on the
Well,
camel.
yeah,
We won't
yeah.
talk about that.
But the other thing is too many people drink the Kool-Aid.
Well,
I mean, it's just like the stuff,
it's just like those guys that are pushing Landrieu, though, okay?
Yeah.
They've got some vested interest. Their checkbook is wrapped up in this stuff to one extent or another. This is why de Tocqueville said that democracy only lasts until the people realize they can vote themselves access to the public trough. And the Iron Madam, Prime Minister of England, Maggie Thatcher, said it also. She said, socialism only lasts until the other people's money runs out.
Yep.
It's the same thing. Democracy is nothing but socialism, because no longer is there a Bill of Rights, because the Bill of Rights are to protect the rights of the individual, the minority. Me as an individual, I'm a minority here. These other guys in here they outnumber me multiples to one. If I told how many, then they would know how many else were in here. But
we don't want to do
I'm a minority of one in here, but I have my rights that they didn't give me. They did not collectively give me the rights that then they could collectively take away. As I mentioned earlier, if the government gives you the rights, then the government can take them away. And that's something one of the founders, which one of them said that, Tom? A government so powerful to give you anything whatsoever is also powerful enough to take everything away.
Everything away.
Thomas
Jefferson, okay. I know it was one of them guys. I'm bad on names, I
Well,
can't remember.
it was kind of like during Ray's class last night, learning about the president doing executive orders and what the rules are with that.
Well, here's the thing, though. I wanted to mention, and I forgot, but I didn't make a note of it last night. Executive orders were done by everybody from Washington on.
Oh, yeah.
But what they were for, the president has under his authority certain agencies or
Not to make new laws.
outfits. And the executive orders were an administrative means by which the president ordered those agencies that are under him, like the military, the postal service at the time, the marshal service, etc. That's the way he ordered them to do certain things. It was an administrative tool. What has happened is, because Congress did not pay attention to their business, they see now the president as an emperor, 4 years at a time, okay, that the Congress thinks that the president has got this authority to do. And of course, certain presidents that we've had through history have been imperial presidents and acted that way, and they were so powerful that Congress let them do what they wanted. Abe Lincoln being one of the first true imperial presidents. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was probably the second most imperial president we've had. Lyndon Baines Johnson, another one. And then you get into this century and the latter half of the last century, latter part of the last century, and you've got several imperial presidents. They just keep getting more and more imperial. And the last one's up to Carter. Carter was the last non-imperial president we had. He was just an idiot. After Carter, they have really laid on the emperor's cloak to these clowns. And that's intentional. It's like I've said, every one that we've had has been worse than the one before. And it's going to continue that way unless the country can't handle it. Can the country handle it much longer
No,
without it breaking the camel's back?
there's a lot of stuff gonna happen.
Well,
That is if we get through the blast tomorrow.
well, let's see. Let's see what happens tomorrow.
But, I mean, looking at how that is supposed to be used and not how it's being used. And another interesting question came up. that one of the requirements to be a president is that you have served in the military.
No, that's not a requirement.
No, it's not now.
It shouldn't be. It never was.
should be.
No, it never
And-
was.
And, no,
Never was
it's
an
not a
official.
requirement now. Let's make that clear. But what I'm saying is that because he is the commander-in-chief,
Yeah, but he's only supposed to be commander-in-chief in time of war.
yeah,
The military, that's why we didn't have a standing army. Our founders warned us about having a standing army. And to this day, there's some vestige of that from the standpoint that the Army's budget is only 2 years at a time. Because a standing army, they considered that every 2 years the Army is dissolved and restarted again. And I remember something about that. I forget what exactly it was, but it was odd at the time when I was at the point that there was something that happened every 2 years that it was a strange, it was like, now that I understand this stuff better, I think that's what it was. That officially the Army ceased to exist, and then the next minute it existed again.
yeah. But
And that was because they didn't want us to have a standing army.
one of the
They
things,
warned us. They warned us. Every one of them warned us about a standing army.
one of the things that I'd like to point out is that when you only go to 35 to 40% of your briefings on the military,
I know. Well, it's worse than that.
well,
From the
I'm
standpoint of not just the military briefings, but he's supposed to have those daily intelligence briefings every morning.
Exactly.
First thing, he's supposed to know what happened overnight.
That's
that
about 25%.
He goes to even less, yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then a guy gets his head cut off and goes play golf.
I know. This guy does not take the job seriously. This, I've got to give previous presidents, they took it more seriously than he does, even the George Bush Jr., who was probably less intelligent than the guy in the White House is now, but that's not saying much. Okay. The guy, at least George took the job seriously, and the people that worked for him said that. But this guy here, oof, he does not take it seriously at all. And of course, there's been some authors that have written stuff up about that and said intellectually, they don't think he can handle it.
No,
He's not taking it seriously because he doesn't, and I've known people like that.
he
I've
came.
known people that just could not fathom the importance of stuff that was sitting right in the middle, right in their face.
You know what I wanted
They
to
wouldn't
do
take stuff seriously.
before I came on the show tonight, and I forgot, was look up the actual definition of narcissist or narcissistic.
Did I send that article out to everybody on narcissism?
You might have.
Let me see
I mean,
something
I
here.
did. I don't have time to read.
I know, that's, I've got something here on, let me see if I got it in my draft file.
But I mean, when you look at how people are and how they act, then you will know they have a narcissistic attitude.
Well, he's he's beyond narcissistic to hubristic. Here we go. Oh, I didn't put it I meant to put that in the show file. Okay. Now this goes to society as a whole. How much time we got? We'll talk about that
5
since you
minutes.
brought that up.
Yeah, it's an interesting subject.
Selfies, social media, and video challenges. Society is becoming inundated with the me, myself, and I
Yeah,
by Keith Campbell. There was once a young man named Narcissus who was so vain he fell in love with his own reflection in the water and died. In some versions of the mythological tale from ancient Greece, Narcissus was transformed into a flower that today carries the name Narcissus, or daffodil. Like the flower, narcissism has continued to flourish in modern culture. Selfie was awarded Word of the Year in 2013 by the Oxford Dictionary. And when I saw that, I just, that's what, they got to pander to that stuff. No, you ignore it. You don't pander to it. I'm ashamed of myself I did that. Capturing an image of one's, there you go, that's a good one. Yeah,
That's
put
a
that
good
on
one
there
right
instead of
there.
us. That's
I
the
like
one,
that
that's the
one.
one we need.
there's the one.
Capturing an
Come and
image
take
of
it,
oneself, once the purview of despondent artists, has become an international pastime. Even politicians rode the trend, taking selfies at memorial services. Who are they talking about there? Celebrities continued to be well celebrated as well. et cetera, et cetera. Between them, these celebrities that he mentions here, I'm not going to name them, that just gives them more publicity, have more followers than the population of an average country. And as both one of them's career trajectory and research findings show, the importance of fame is more prominent than ever before. In recent weeks, we've seen the Ice Bucket Challenge thrive, but it's been revealed that less than half of the people doing the challenge are actually donating. So for some, it's really about awareness for ALS or self-promotion.
Self-promotion.
Exactly, that's what it is. And he wrote The Narcissism Epidemic, which is on this email, which I will have to, if anybody wants it, it's on that email I sent out. Again, let me know. I'll send it to you. A few years ago, we didn't predict the extent of these changes. Narcissism has become such a part of the culture that a new study found people could report their own narcissism simply by answering a question. To what extent do you agree with the statement, I am a narcissist? The word means egotistical, self-focused, and vain. Goes from 1, not very true of me, all the way to 7, very true of me. But narcissism is more complicated and confusing than a single question can capture. There are really 3 types. Problems arise when people discuss narcissism without identifying the form. Now here we go.
This is it.
Grandiose narcissism is the outgoing extroverted form. When you look at charismatic but corrupt leaders, unfaithful ex-partners, or media-hungry celebrities, you're often seeing grandiose narcissism in action. This starts with an inflated image of oneself. Of course, most politicians are already grandiose narcissists.
Yeah.
Some are uber grandiose, like the one in the White House now, but
Can we get in trouble for saying that?
no.
No.
Uber is a perfectly good word.
Uber's a good word.
Now, uber grandiose all in one word, I don't know, that may be banned. But I haven't checked the list of banned words this week. Am I supposed to do that? You're going to have to start doing that for me, Hart. You're going to have to check the list of banned words every week. See, make sure we don't use any of them and get in trouble.
I'm gonna do that to him tomorrow night. It'll be my turn to go like this.
The narcissistic individual believes he or she is smarter, Obama,
Oh.
better looking, yeah, more important than others, oh, yes, yeah, and of course deserves special treatment for this fact. This does not mean that grandiose narcissists are all pompous bores. No. I know of a few. I don't think I know any personally, fortunately. No.
Well, I knew
They
one
can-
about 5 years ago.
No, I may have. I'd have to go back and search my database of my past history and see if there's somebody that was like that. Probably some at the point. Some of those guys were, especially one who was the heir to the fortune of a big whiskey company.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, Tom, listen in. Just a couple quick comments before the show goes off. I saw Nancy Pelosi's clone yesterday, Barbara Boxer. This is what she said about Obama. Oh, he's very decisive. What? Let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Let's sleep on it. Thank you, Tom, for taking my call, man.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Well, see, he brings up a point about narcissists, too. Very decisive.
That was really good.
They're decisive so long as, and Obama's a classic with this stuff on ISIS, okay?
Oh.
They're classic when it comes to the reinforcing what they think of as people's opinion of themselves, of them. And of course, for him to do certain things now that would be the opposite of what he wanted to do just a short time ago would then be admitting he was wrong. You know, that's a Masonic, no, that's a Masonic,
Masonic.
yeah, that's a Masonic symbol. That's why they use it for that. So this indecisiveness is part of this narcissistic streak because, hey, if he makes a wrong decision, well, then what happens?
Oh, man.
Make him look bad, too.
Ego's shot to heck.
Yeah, he can't be seen to make a mistake. This guy is
And you don't question people like that.
Well, no, he surrounds himself with sycophants who aren't gonna question. If they do, they get fired.
Yeah, or killed. Oh,
You're not supposed to say that,
I'm supposed to say that.
but anyway.
It is a
But
fact.
see, they're talking here about,
That is the ultimate firing.
that's true, that's true. That is, the ultimate firing is to JFK him. But narcissism is increasing, notably in the form of grandiose narcissism and this other form, which I didn't get to, for NPD, which is, where'd it go?
Better hurry.
Where'd it go?
We got less than a minute.
But,
Tomorrow
anyway.
night, Acadiana Patriots.
Yep,
Don't want to miss it.
that's gonna be good.
6
That's gonna be-
o'clock at Rover Show.
That's gonna be interesting. Well, we're out of time. We won't go into narcissism other than to say that, the uber narcissist in charge, narcissist in chief?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is residing in the White House unless he's on a vacation again.
Playing golf.
He's playing golf at this time of night? Oh, he's watching basketball or doing one of those, TV series like his wife telling me. Anyway, all right, adios, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Not a thing.
That was a good subject to bring up, though, the
What?
narcissistic stuff.
Well, yeah, and I happen to have this one article here that,
I mean,
I know why I didn't put it there. I hadn't had a chance to read it yet.
Terrific suggestion.